This exercise is side-lying hip work. What we're after here is trying to strengthen our glute max and our glute med primarily. There are definitely other muscles that get involved here, but there's a lot of stuff that can happen that's not quite what we're looking for. So first off, I want to just review with you what hip really means. So I'm going to borrow this little spine that I happen to have laying around my house. So your hip is really this joint here where your femur connects into your pelvis. My spine unfortunately doesn't go in all the directions, but what we should be able to do is rotate our femur inward as well as outward, as well as flex it and extend it. All of those motions together happening in the hip help us do all the activities we need to do in everyday bits of life. So what we're after as we do this exercise is we want to be able to keep the lumbar spine all the way through the pelvis nice and stable as we're moving the leg. Primarily, we'll be focusing on trying to create external rotation, which is where this bone here, our femur, is going to rotate this direction, pulling back. My knee would be over here, so it would be pulling open as I do that. Throughout this exercise, it's really important to make sure that your core is staying engaged so that you're keeping your ribs and hips connected. Keeping your abs on will give you the best chance to use your hip muscles. This is such an important thing because those outer hip muscles help us with walking. They help us with being able to have balance. They help us with everyday activities that we don't even realize. Start out by tying a band around your thighs. You want a fair amount of resistance, but not too much. I recommend not double knotting, but tying your knot in a bow. Make sure that it's just about an inch or so above the knees, and then you'll come down laying on your side on the mat. Then we want to think about the head, shoulders, ribs, pelvis, and feet all trying to be in a nice straight line with the back of the mat. Oftentimes we flex forward or extend when we lay down, so think about these major spaces, masses of our body, and drawing them into a straight line with the back of your mat. Once you have found this position, we're going to start with a basic clamshell, lifting the top knee away from the bottom knee, but keeping the heels in contact. As you're doing this, you want to make sure that you're keeping the spine nice and still. A little bit of abdominal engagement to connect the ribs and hips will help you keep the pelvis fixed so that the focus of the work is in the glutes and in the outer hip. Remembering that for now the heels are staying together and it's just the top knee lifting away from the bottom knee. Repeat this exercise a few more times, really starting to feel the work in the very back of the hip in the gluteal region, and making sure that the rest of your body is staying fairly relaxed, including the bottom hip. On the next repetition, we're going to lift the heels apart from each other. So now it's both the knee and the foot on the top leg lifting. I like to imagine balancing a cup of tea on my lower leg to keep the knee and ankle nice and even as I'm lifting the leg. Now you should be feeling that work more on the side of the hip rather than just in the back. On the next repetition, keep the leg lifted. We're going to be straightening and bending the knee. As you do this, watch you're not rocking into your low back, rolling across the hip. Keep your abs on to keep your back nice and still. So exhale, reach the leg out. Inhale, bend the knee, pull on the band. Exhale, as you reach out, keep the band tight and the leg lifted hip height. Inhale, bend the knee, draw it in. Exhaling to reach, still imagining that cup of tea balanced on the lower leg. As you're reaching and bending, pulling in on the band as you bend, going one more time, and then lowering the leg to the ground. Now we'll flip over and do the same exercise on the second side. As you come down, again, take a moment to check in and make sure that your head, ribs, pelvis, and feet are all lined up with the back of your mat, that your core is engaged to draw your ribs and your hips closer to each other. When you're ready, lift the top knee, keeping the feet together as you lift and lower just that top knee. Your core should be on to keep that top hip forward. Really watch out for the hip wanting to roll back as you perform this exercise. This time, lift the feet away from each other as well as the knee. Again, imagining you have a cup of tea or a bowl of soup balanced on your lower leg, keeping the knee and the heel even as you lift and lower the leg. On the next repetition, we'll bring the leg up and keep it here, starting to extend the leg out and bend the knee back in. Reaching out, the knee and the ankle should be the same height, and keep that knee lifted even as you draw it towards center, keeping a stretch on the band both up and in. Doing one more repetition, drawing it in, keeping the back strong, core strong as you lengthen back out, and then slowly lower the leg down. That is a challenging exercise, but congratulate yourself for getting all the way through it. So from here, you can start working on things like single leg stand, trying to be vertical, working against gravity and standing on just one leg should involve all of those outer hip muscles that you just warmed up and worked on. You don't have to do it today, but keep doing this exercise, keep getting stronger, and check the website for some great variations to challenge yourself as you get stronger.